The Pokemon anime's Rayquaza Rising arc is reaching its climax and it's leaving fans speechless. From a showdown with Champion Geeta, a fierce battle against Gouging Fire, and now the arrival of Black Rayquaza, this arc just keeps getting crazier. Here's what's happening in Pokemon Horizons. Episode 79, Over the Top. Following Briar's advice about the rumored Entei in Area 0, the gang heads to the Paldean Pokemon League to request permission to enter. Friede easily gains access because he's Friede, he's based, but Liko, Roy, and Dot are denied since they aren't strong enough. Determined to go, however, the trio begs for their chance, so Geeta offers a proposition: defeat her in a battle to prove their strength. That's right, it's Liko, Roy, and Dot versus Paldea's top champion. This definitely won't be controversial. Starting with the good, I like how this battle wasn't a typical everyone gangs up on one opponent scenario. Instead, it was a 3-on-3 match, which required actual strategy rather than brute force. Geeta's glimmits were a constant nuisance, and Geeta herself showcased her ruthlessness as a champion. She used toxic spikes to limit their movement, spiky shield to block close range attacks, and dazzling gleam to push long range approaches. It was a solid display of her intellect, and the trio clearly struggled to keep up. Despite these odds though, the trio manages to turn things around by relying on clever strategies and teamwork. I especially love the callback to the Kleavor fight, where they use the sound of their surroundings to predict Geeta's moves. And Liko's big brain play, disrupting Crocolore's attack to boost Stomping Tantrum, was easily my favorite moment of this episode. Now let's talk about what didn't work. Geeta. This character has been dunked on endlessly for her weak portrayal in the games, and you'd think the anime would redeem her, but nope, Geeta still sucks. She started strong, but completely fell apart as the battle progressed. Sacrificing 2 of her 3 Pokemon with Memento in a 3-on-3 fight? That's just asking to lose. By the end, it was a terrestrialized showdown, and while Roy and Dot are defeated, Liko and Floragato managed to take the win. I'm so mixed on this. On one hand, this was a great moment for the trio, and it highlights their synergy and growth. On the other hand, it makes Geeta and Paldea as a whole look weak. How does the top champion, Paldea's strongest trainer, excluding Nemona, lose to 3 kids who haven't even completed the gym challenge? It's embarrassing. I've seen fans defend this fight by saying, oh, it was a 3-on-1, it wasn't fair. What do you mean? She used 3 Pokemon too. Oh, Geeta was just holding back. Literally, her whole character is that she doesn't hold back, so she's either a liar or she just sucks. Pick your poison. Oh, Glimmora terrestrialized into a rock type, so Liko had the advantage. So? This is the champion. Even at a disadvantage, she should have wiped the floor with them. I get that the anime needed to show progress for the trio before the inevitable big battles, but it came at Geeta's expense. Thankfully, we're moving past this and the crew heads into Area 0 where the explorers are on their trail. Here's hoping for better storytelling ahead. This episode's rating is a 6 out of 10. Episode 80, Totally Awesome Pokemon in Area 0? The gang has officially entered Area 0, reuniting with Briar to begin their search for Entei. Meanwhile, Coral and Sidian are spying on them, but as expected, Coral just can't sit still. My favorite part about this episode is how they portray Area 0. It truly captures the grand scale of this location, and surprisingly, it's very accurate to the games. The anime expands on the setting even more though. Despite Briar saying that Entei's last sighting was within walking distance, they don't even reach it by the end of the day. This really makes Area 0 feel huge, and we haven't even seen the lower levels yet. As this episode serves as the introduction to Area 0, it also marks our first encounter with Paradox Pokémon. Roy gets his wish of battling one with Sandy Shocks, while Coral finds herself caught in a hilarious squabble with a Screamtail. Both interactions fit their characters perfectly. Roy, who's always eager for a challenge, jumps into a battle, while Coral ends up in a ridiculous, chaotic mess. Surprisingly, the latter gets the most attention, and it's actually really funny. This eventually leads to them getting ambushed by a Great Tusk, forcing Coral and Screamtail to sort of work together to handle the situation. The whole sequence was hilarious, and what makes it even better, Coral actually catches Screamtail just to make it shut up. Not a capture I saw coming, but honestly, it fits so well, so I'm here for it. I wish I could say the same for Roy though. After a long, drawn-out battle with Sandy Shocks, complete with a brief bonding moment, he just leaves without even considering catching it. This was frustrating because this was the perfect setup for him to get a new Pokemon, yet he didn't. At this point, it kind of feels like Horizons actively avoids letting the main cast catch anything. The only way this would make sense is if Sandy Shocks comes back into the story later, but right now it's hard to say. And spoilers, he doesn't come back in this Area 0 mini arc. Overall, this was a decent first episode in Area 0, though it didn't have much to offer outside of a few funny moments and Paradox Pokemon battles. On the bright side, at least one of the villains finally caught a Pokemon. That was a nice surprise. This episode's rating is a 5 out of 10. Episode 81, A Grand Battle, Earth-Gouging Fire. After a full day of travel, the group finally arrives at the location where Entei was spotted. Oh wait, did I say Entei? I meant Gouging Fire. This was such a sick reveal. I love how the episode doesn't waste any time and jumps right into the action. After reuniting with his former teammate, Gouging Fire immediately swipes the ancient Pokeballs from Liko, forcing the gang to prove their worth. Now I'll admit, the battle is a lot slower paced than most, but by the end I was surprised by how much I liked it. The fight's main purpose is for the group to gradually unravel the truth, that this isn't an Entei. They come in with the strategy early on, only for it to fail instantly since Gouging Fire isn't a pure fire type like Entei. As the battle progresses, it eventually uses Dragon Pulse, and with the way it resists certain moves, the group pieces together that this is actually a fire and dragon type. Surprisingly, the MVP of this episode was Dot. She took the lead with strategy, and it was awesome seeing her mind at work as they tried to figure out Gouging Fire on the fly. She put in so much effort that even her Quaxwell ended up learning Aqua Cutter. Eventually, Briar connects the dots and confirms that Gouging Fire is actually a Paradox Pokémon, meaning that it was most likely mistaken for an Entei back in Lucius's time. The execution of Dot's final plan was handled really well. Everything flowed smoothly, and the group finally figured how to counter its Raging Fury attack. And the way Cap uses the stream to amplify the power of Thunder Punch was top notch. With that, the gang officially proves themselves, securing the penultimate member of Lucius's team. Of course, we then get another Pogogo memory, showing Gouging Fire alongside Lucius, officially confirming that it is one of the 6 hero Pokemon. This was another solid episode that really showcased the team's strength when they worked together. And more importantly, it sets up the stage for the climax of this arc. And I mean it, because the episode ends with the hero Pokemon summoning their final member, Rayquaza. Looks like the ultimate hero battle is about to begin. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. Episode 82, At the End of the Shining Rainbow. The time has finally come for the group to prove themselves to the Black Rayquaza once and for all. And right away, I just gotta say, this battle was an absolute banger. It starts off strong, with the gang spreading out to use the terrain to their advantage. Thanks to Area Zero's unique multi-level environment, the battle feels way more dynamic compared to their previous fight with Rayquaza. Everyone gets a chance to shine. Friede battles in the air on Charizard, Liko uses Hatchram to manipulate the rocks and restrict Rayquaza's movements, and Dot even gets to attack from above because of the terrain. This was so cool. Dot also has another big brain moment, coordinating with Friede and Roy to lure Rayquaza towards a waterfall, allowing Cap to supercharge his Volt Tackle. I know I keep saying this, but for good reason, the group's teamwork just keeps getting better and better with every battle. Despite their solid strategy though, it completely wrecks them. It nerfs Friede by taking out Charizard, limiting their aerial attacks, Dot and Liko's teams are utterly annihilated, and even when Friede pulls off an epic rising Volt Tackle in the air, Rayquaza's Dragon Ascent still takes out Cap. This leaves only Roy and Crocolore to finish the fight. Oh wait, never mind, because Pogogo jumps in to help Liko continue her battle. This was hype. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, there's actually some real tension in this fight. Since the group already used up their Terrassalization against Gouging Fire, they're at a disadvantage, except for Friede who could have used it but didn't. But then comes the coolest moment. Just when it seems like Pogogo is about to go down, it transfers its Terrestrial energy to Crocolore, giving Roy one last chance to Terrasilize. That moment was peak. And after one final decisive flame charge, Rayquaza is weakened enough to return to its ancient Pokeball. What a satisfying moment. Roy earned this victory, and I couldn't be happier for him. Even though Rayquaza technically still belongs to Lucius, so it doesn't actually obey him, this just gives Roy an even greater goal to work towards, which I love. With Pogogo's power restored, and Lockwar revealed in Terapagos' final vision, Rayquaza is finally ready to lead them to their ultimate destination. The scene of the crew soaring past Liko's family, plus cameos of Roy's grandfather and Dot's mother, where they are informed of their big progress, was such a perfect way to set up the true climax. Honestly, I cannot wait to see what comes next. This episode's rating is a 10 out of 10.